Welcome to Day 10 homework. Okay, so you had just finished in class learning about how to find the volume of composite shapes. Now what we're going to do is tomorrow we're going to be looking at how to find the height and the radius of a cone, cylinder, or sphere if we're given the volume. Okay, so I'm going to start with, let's do number 1. Okay, so number 1 says find the height of a cylinder. Okay, so I'm dealing with a cylinder if the volume is 588 pi and the radius is 7. Okay, so if I'm dealing with volume of a cylinder, we're going to write V equals pi r squared times the height. Okay, if you go back up to the question, we're told this time that the volume is 588 pi and the radius is 7. So when you go to plug in, this is going to get plugged in for the volume, and this will be plugged in for r, and we're going to be solving for h. Okay, so if I substitute in, I have 588 pi is equal to pi times 7 squared times the height. Okay, so if I'm solving for the height, we're going to box in h and draw our line. Okay, so the first thing I can do is start to simplify my exponents. So I can see here that I have pi times 49 times whatever the height is, which I need to get by itself, is going to be equal to 588 pi. Okay, so everything is joined by multiplication, so we know to undo everything, we're going to have to divide. Okay, so I'm just going to start by dividing by 49. Okay, because we know 49 divided by 49 is just 1, so you can think of it like canceling out. On the other side, 588 divided by 49 gives us 12, but we still have this pi here. Okay, so I know that 12 pi is going to be equal to pi times the height. So pi is still just a number joined by multiplication. Okay, so I can still go ahead and divide both sides by pi, and I know pi divided by pi is 1, so I'm left with 1h. And here I know pi divided by pi is also 1, so I'm just left with 12 times 1, which we know is 12. Okay, so here I know the height has to be 12. Okay, we're going to do the same thing, but now this time we're going to be dealing with a cone. So I'm going to erase this just so I can read the question. It says find the height of a cone whose volume is 288 pi and the radius is 8. So now for the formula we're going to write V equals I want this right. There we go. V equals, this time it's 1/3 pi r squared times the height. Okay, so I'm going to plug in my volume, which they say is 128 pi, is equal to 1/3 pi, and the radius is 8, so times 8 squared, and we're going to be finding that height. Okay, let's at least start by doing 8 squared, because that's something we can simplify. So I have 1/3 times pi times 64 times the height is all equal to 128 pi. Okay, so I'm going to first start by dividing out the 64 from both sides. So when I do that, it's gone here. So on this side, I'm left with 1/3 pi times the height is equal to, and we can take 128 and divide it by 64. Oh, and I get 2. And I still have this pi here, so 2 pi is equal to 1/3 pi times the height. Okay, so we know that the 1/3 is joined by multiplication, so we should divide. Okay, but we know that if I was to do 1/3 divided by 1/3, to divide by fractions, we have to copy, so keep the same, change it to multiplication, and flip the second one. Okay, so if you remember from before, if you're multiplying by a fraction, to get rid of it, you're really just going to multiply both sides by its reciprocal. Remember, reciprocal means that flipped fraction. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and multiply both sides by 3 over 1, or in this case, just 3. Okay, because 1/3 times 3 gives me 1. And 3 times 2 is going to give me 6, and then bring down your pi. So 6 pi is equal to pi times the height. Well, now all I have to do is divide both sides by pi to get rid of that, which, lucky for us, they just cancel on both sides. So you're left with 6 is equal to the height of that cone. Alright, you are going to do number 3 on your own, okay, and show me when you come into class tomorrow.